Today, we're zooming in on just 2 verses from the Quran's longest chapter, Al-Baqarah. Now you might think, just 2 verses? But believe me, these final 2 aren't just an ending. They're a powerful summary of faith, a promise of incredible mercy, and really, a believer's direct line to God.
So, why this intense focus on these specific 2? Well, it's because in Islamic tradition, they hold a truly special place. They're seen as a source of protection, a complete summary of guidance, something you're meant to recite every single night.
And this right here, this specific saying from the Prophet Muhammad is the key. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is in these verses that makes them so powerful? So sufficient? Sufficient against what? Hardship? Evil? Well, that's exactly what we're here to unpack.
To really get their importance, we have to travel back in time, back to the moment they were revealed. You see, these verses didn't just appear out of the blue. They arrived to solve a problem, a deep, profound anxiety that had taken hold of the early Muslim community.
This was the question at the heart of their concern. I mean, just imagine for a second, worrying that every random, fleeting, unintentional thought that pops into your head could be held against you. That's a heavy, heavy burden to even think about.
So where did this worry come from? It came from a previous verse, and the way it was worded seemed to imply exactly that, accountability for everything. The Prophet's companions were really troubled by this. They felt like it was an impossible standard to live up to. They were basically saying, how can any of us possibly control every single thought?
And that's where our 2 verses come into the story. The divine response didn't just give a quick answer. No, it started by reaffirming the very foundation of belief. It laid out the core creed of a believer, right from the start.
Okay, so the verse kicks off by saying that the messenger and all the believers share the exact same faith. And this faith, it rests on these 4 pillars. Belief in one God, the creator of everything. Belief in the unseen world of his angels. Belief in all of his divine scriptures, not just the Quran but the Torah and the Gospel too. And finally, belief in every single one of his messengers. It's a complete holistic worldview.
Now this next part is absolutely critical to the creed. It's a declaration of unity. The verse confirms that all the prophets, from Adam to Muhammad, brought the same core message: worship one God. For a believer, this means you don't pick and choose. You accept the entire chain of revelation as one continuous story.
And this is the turning point. Before they got the relief they were hoping for, the community was told to respond with this simple phrase: we hear and we obey. It's a statement of absolute trust, of total submission. It means accepting God's commands even when they seem impossibly difficult, even when they raise all sorts of questions in your mind. It was only after this profound act of faith, this moment of hearing and obeying, that the divine clarification, the mercy they were so desperate for, was finally revealed, and it directly addressed their deepest fears about their thoughts.
And there it is, the sentence that eased all that anxiety. This is such a foundational concept in Islam, the idea that God, in his infinite mercy, knows our limits. He is completely aware of human weakness and will never ask you to do something that is truly beyond your capacity.
The verse then gets even clearer about what we are held accountable for. It's really simple when you break it down. You are rewarded for the good you choose to do, and you are held responsible for the evil you choose to commit. The key word there is choose. It's all about our voluntary actions, not the involuntary thoughts we can't control. Your account is your own.
So, after establishing this creed and this incredible principle of mercy, the verses then wrap up with what is basically the perfect model for prayer. It literally teaches believers the right way to turn to their Lord.
The prayer starts with this beautiful, humble plea. It's a direct admission of our own humanity. You know, we're fallible, we forget things, we make mistakes. This is a request for grace, asking not to be punished for our unintended errors.
See how this part of the prayer echoes the promise we just talked about? It's the believer humbly asking God to please maintain that standard of mercy. It's an open recognition of our own weakness, asking for challenges that we are actually capable of overcoming.
And then we get to the emotional heart of it all. The prayer asks for 3 specific things: pardon us, forgive us, and have mercy on us. It's this comprehensive request for God to just wipe the slate clean, to cover up our faults, and to shower us with his kindness and grace.
And the prayer concludes by affirming God's role as the ultimate protector, our Mawla. So after asking for personal forgiveness and ease, the believer then turns to him for support and for victory in the greater, ongoing struggle of trying to uphold truth in the world. And if all of that wasn't enough, just to cap it all off, consider this little detail. Islamic tradition holds that these two verses weren't just sent down like any others. They came from a special treasure from right under the divine throne. Now, that's not just a piece of trivia. It's meant to emphasize just how sacred and uniquely valuable these verses are.
So, what we're left with is this incredibly powerful framework, a clear set of beliefs, a firm promise of divine mercy that removes impossible burdens, and a direct line of communication through a perfect prayer. It all leads us to one final thought. How does this constant balance, this interplay between firm belief on one hand and the hope for divine forgiveness on the other, how does that actually shape the mindset and actions of a believer, day in and day out?